Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so staring at a patch of bare soil in early summer, it can completely induce panic for any gardener, right? You see the calendar hit June, the weather is heating up, and it's so easy to think, man, I completely missed the boat, especially if your neighbors already have these neat little rows of perfectly established seedlings. But going through this source material, it completely reframed how I look at early summer planting. So let's take a deep breath and look at exactly why. Okay, let's dive into this. June isn't the backup plan. It's the main event. The sources completely shatter the myth that your planting window has somehow slammed shut. It absolutely hasn't. The calendar literally does not care that life got in your way in May. The reality? Seeds planted right now, soaking up the peak power of the June sun, are going to rock out of the ground with a kind of unstoppable vigor that seeds planted back in that chilly April mud could only dream about. So here is our roadmap for today. We're covering 1. The June planting myth. 2. Heat-thriving summer superstars. 3. Fast growers and high yielders. 4. The late-season surprises. And finally, 5. Herbs and helpful pollinators. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the June planting myth, and why warm soil changes absolutely everything. Look, it's totally normal to feel a bit panicked staring at a bare patch of dirt, but let's compare that anxiety to the actual science here. The scientific reality is that June soil is warm. Frost is a distant memory at this point. And what that means is germination happens in days, not weeks. The plants you're putting into the ground right now are stepping into the absolute optimal environment for explosive growth. Moving right along to Section 2, heat-thriving summer superstars. These are the crops that don't just tolerate but actually demand the June heat. Take sweet potatoes, for instance. If you stick a sweet potato slip into 80-degree soil, I kid you not, within a single week, it is reaching for the horizon. It forms this dense, living mulch that completely shades out weeds. If you've got a shorter season, go for bulletproof varieties like Beauregard or Georgia Jet. Down south, you gotta try Nancy Hall for just incredible flavor. Another amazing heat lever is the Seminole pumpkin. Now, this isn't your standard Halloween pumpkin. It's a living heirloom, literally a survival crop from Florida, and it's remarkably resistant to squash bugs and vine borers. Oh, and when your traditional lettuce inevitably bolts and turns bitter in the heat, Malabar spinach steps right up. It's this gorgeous, climbing tropical vine with vibrant red stems that actually thrives when everything else is just wilting away. Now, if you are actively avoiding okra because of some lingering cafeteria trauma from 1987 where it was boiled to death and turned into slime, well, it is time to dismantle that fear once and for all. That slime is called mucilage, and it really only develops with long, wet cooking. If you hit okra with high heat, like a quick sauté or a hot oven, it is an absolute revelation. It becomes sweet, a little nutty, and brilliantly crisp. Plus, the plants themselves are just stunning. We're talking 6 to 8 feet tall with these massive, beautiful morning flowers that look just like hibiscus. All right, Section 3, fast growers and high yielders. We are talking going from seed to harvest in record time. Just check out the timeline on cowpeas. In a mere 60 to 70 days, these African Vigna species will literally laugh in the face of drought, all while fixing atmospheric nitrogen right back into your soil. Talk about a win-win. Then you've got bush cucumbers, sprinting to the finish line in just 50 to 60 days, and you don't even need to build a trellis for them. And we definitely can't forget yard-long beans. These guys thrive in heat that would turn regular beans incredibly crispy, and they pump out tender, nutty pods that get up to 3 feet long. Honestly, kids absolutely love growing them just because they look so ridiculous. Of course, you just can't talk about fast summer growers without bringing up summer squash and zucchini. Seeds planted in June will often catch up to May transplants in a matter of weeks. But here is the absolute crucial rule for summer squash. Do not let them become waterlogged baseball bats. Seriously, harvest them when they're the size of a baseball. If you leave them on the vine for just 3 more days, they mutate into this fibrous, watery mess that's really only good for tossing in the compost pile. Also, keep in mind the massive difference between bush beans and pole beans. While bush beans are going to give you a super quick, concentrated harvest, pole beans, they are the gift that keeps on giving. If you plant reliable varieties like Kentucky Wonder or Vortex right now in this beautiful, warm soil, they will climb right up a trellis and give you a continuous harvest from late July all the way until the first frost kills them. The secret trick here is just to pick them every other day. That keeps the plant locked into a productive vegetative state. Let's shift gears to Section 4, the late season surprises. These are the crops you really wouldn't expect to be planting in June. Now, what's really interesting here is the incredible mini story of how peanuts develop. If you have never grown peanuts, you are missing out on one of the most fascinating processes in the entire garden. First, a tiny yellow pea-like flower blooms above ground. Then, after it's pollinated, the flower stalk actually elongates, bends downward, and literally drives itself straight into the soil. The pods then develop completely underground, safely tucked away from pests. This bizarre and honestly wonderful mechanical process is called pegging. To successfully host this amazing underground development, peanuts really just need loose, sandy, well-drained soil and about 4 solid months of warm, frost-free weather. Moving to another awesome late-season surprise, tens of thousands. That massive number represents the amount of seeds produced by just a single amaranth plant. Amaranth is this absolutely stunning 8-foot-tall, highly drought-resistant crop. And its seeds, they're a gluten-free pseudo-grain absolutely packed with lysine, which is an amino acid that's often totally lacking in other grains. A single 10-foot row planted right now is going to give you more highly nutritious grain than you'll even know what to do with come fall. Now, this is the part of the research that really surprised me. Carrots and beets are universally known as cool season spring crops, right? Well, actually, if you plant fast-maturing carrot varieties like Nance or Littlefinger in June, they will size up beautifully for autumn. As the soil temperatures start falling in the autumn, they convert their starches over to sugars, making them sweeter than any spring carrot you have ever tasted. The only trick is keeping that June seedbed constantly moist for a few weeks. But you can easily do that just by laying a piece of burlap directly over the seeds until they sprout. And finally, Section 5, Herbs and Helpful Pollinators, the essential support system your garden actually needs. Honestly, basil is basically the spirit animal of June planting. It absolutely hates cold soil and cold nights. It demands heat, sun, and warmth, and June delivers all of that in abundance. So whether it's Genovese for pesto, Thai basil for curries, lemon basil for teas, or holy basil, you need to plant a massive patch of it right now. Just remember to keep pinching back those growing tips to encourage branching in all this intense heat. But your herb strategy completely changes in early summer for other plants. Because it's so hot out, cilantro and dill will bolt almost immediately. But guess what? That's exactly what we want. Let them bolt. The umbels of those tiny blossoms attract crucial hoverflies and parasitic wasps. Plus, you get fresh green coriander seeds and dill seed heads for your pickling spices later on. It is such a brilliant way to let the garden work for you, rather than constantly fighting the heat. And speaking of letting the garden work for you, a vegetable garden without pollinators is a garden missing half its potential. Let's rapid-fire run through the absolute essentials here. You got zinnias for a total riot of edge color. Marigolds, they repel soil pests and nematodes. Sunflowers provide seeds for both you and the birds. Cosmos dry in those beneficial wasps we talked about. And nasturtiums give you edible, peppery leaves alongside super bright flowers. As we wrap up this explainer, the definitive takeaway from the sources is crystal clear. The narrative that June is too late to plant is just a lie. It's a lie that honestly only benefits garden centers trying to sell you overpriced transplants back in April. And it only serves to uphold the curated, totally unrealistic perfection of social media gardens that were actually started in heated greenhouses. The truth? The soil is alive, the sun is at its absolute strongest, and the frost is entirely gone. So, I leave you with this. Will you let the garden centers tell you it's too late? Or will you get your hands in the warm June dirt today? The plants know exactly what to do. Step outside, leverage this amazing heat, and plant something today. Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and we will catch you next time.